the coin of the data realm is still billing data. And the reason for that is because it is highly regimented. You have to use an ICD-10 to bill. You have to use a CPT to bill. The data elements are, even with all the payers still being inconsistent and annoying, there's still only 40 fields on that claim. Like it's pretty straightforward and everyone has to bill. So all those interactions the issue is that the ICD-10 wasn't even designed for billing, but that's what we use for billing. SNOMED codes, which are designed for clinical narratives and problem lists, are where we should be understanding this stuff. But EHR vendors are loath to actually incorporate SNOMED codes properly because none of the users want to actually diagnose using ICD-10 and then come over here and properly do it using SNOMED. As Dan will tell you, we all hide that stuff behind the curtain. Now, we think we do it the best way. I'm sure OP thinks they do it, but everyone does it a little bit differently. What that means, though, specifically, let's say, Herb, that one of your patients is at home over the weekend, crashes out of the blue, goes into DKA, goes to the ER. They diagnose, you've got keto without coma. You've got T1D diagnosis for the first time. When that kid comes back to your office, all right, you are not going to bill for ketoacidosis because it's not anything on your claim. You might bill for that T1D in a follow-up visit or something like that. But you should pull that keto into the problem list, which is a SNOMED code. And how often is that done? 5% of the time, 3% of the time, who knows?
And why do you think it's not done?
Because I'll tell you 2 reasons. Number one, it requires discipline and diligence with every single kid, and you have to see 25 kids a day to keep your doors open. And so you're like, secondly, there's something that we're probably not going to talk about today, but I'm just going to mention it right now. Diabetes is one of I haven't counted, a dozen diagnoses that pediatricians are happy to go put over there with someone else. And so a DKA, hey, that's on my stuff. I'm going to let the endocrinologist, who probably doesn't even exist in your town, right? Okay. We're going to let endo deal with that. It becomes someone else's problem. And that's just human. That's just us saying we're feeling overwhelmed. We have too much to manage. And so something like tracking actual DKA is not easy.
But it does have a value. Like, even though, yes, into the office. So how's your diabetes? You're going to the endocrinologist far away. How's your blood sugar? So we made an engagement. Most physicians, well, I didn't manage the diabetes, so I'm not going to put it down. And then throw in the twist of, I have to click 5 fields to put it in. I'm not going to bother.
Exactly.
But it is important. It's important in pediatrics, especially for value-based contracts, because putting a kid, telling the insurance company that the kid has diabetes will give them a higher risk score. Given a higher risk score, now budgets more money for this patient in their value-based contract.
Now, let me ask you, I want to ask the 3 physicians on this call. You've all managed patients with diabetes to some extent, okay? And you've co-managed with endocrinologists. How well do your technical tools communicate with the endocrine partners that you have? Like, if a kid goes and sees an endocrinologist 3 times, one of the kids in your flock, a 12-year-old, who you saw for a well visit last year, goes to endo 3 or 4 times in 3 months. How often are you even aware of that?
So I'll tell you, from a non-pediatric EHR, it's a disaster, because I get information back in 2 ways through ECW. One is a PDF, and Fairfax uses Epic. So there's 12 pages of repetition of nonsense, right? And the nurse said that the kid passed gas twice. Okay. And then the medical student said, no, it was 3 times. And then there's a paragraph, half a page, of the attending physician attesting to the supervision and the time. And I'm looking for, where's the time in range? And because it's a PDF, it's not in color, so I can't even see the graphic. And where's the hemoglobin A1C? And was this kid initially diagnosed in DKA or not? And I got to go through 12 pages. Half of it I can't read. And I'm sorry, I'm very negative on ECW. And on top of that, it's a little box, and I'm not a young person. So it's difficult to see that. And I can't put that box to a side so that I can read the PDF on one side and see the problem list on the other side. And that's one way I get it. And it's just unnerving. And on top of that, it goes into an inbox where whatever clinicians in the clinic helping will go through all of these reports and will sign off on them, that it's not linked to your patient that you're seeing at the time. Or they come in through an electronic interface, and it's even worse. It's this yellow and blue, and you can't find any narrative of what happened.